Hello, how are you doing today? Well, tomorrow I'm having my wisdom teeth pulled out, so in honor of that, I will read the book that was removed from the Bible, the Book of Wisdom. I will read that to you. How often does somebody get their wisdom teeth pulled out the next day, and the day before will read the Book of Wisdom to you? How often does that happen? It probably never does. So you're in for a real treat tonight. I will read the Book of Wisdom to you, starting in chapter 1. Here we go. Love uprightness. You who are rulers on earth, be properly disposed toward the Lord, and seek him in simplicity of heart, for he will be found by those who do not put him to the test, revealing himself to those who do not mistrust him. Perverse thoughts, however, separate people from God, and power, when put to the test, confounds the stupid. Wisdom will never enter the soul of a wrongdoer, nor dwell in a body enslaved to sin. For the Holy Spirit of instruction flees deceitfulness, recoils from unintelligent thoughts, is thwarted by the onset of vice. Wisdom is a spirit, friendly to humanity, though she will not let a blasphemer words go unpunished, since God observes the very soul and accurately surveys the heart, listening to every word. For the Spirit of the Lord fills the world, and that which holds everything together knows every word said. No one who speaks what is wrong will go undetected, nor will avenging justice pass by such a one. For the schemes of the godless will be examined, and a report of his words will reach the Lord to convict him of his crimes. There is a jealous ear that overhears everything. Not even a murmur of complaint escapes it. So beware of uttering frivolous complaints. Restrain your tongue from the finding fault. Even what is said in secret has repercussions, and a lying mouth deals death to the soul. Do not court death by the errors of your ways, nor invite destruction to the work of your hands. For God did not make death. He takes no pleasure in destroying the living. To exist for this he created all things. The creatures of the world have health in them. In them is no fatal poison, and Hades has no power over the world, for uprightness is immortal. For the godless calls for death with deed and word, counting him friend. They wear themselves out for him. With him they make a pact, worthy as they are to belong to him. Chapter 2. And this is the false argument they use. Our life is short and dreary. There is no remedy when our end comes. No one is known to have come back from Hades. We came into being by chance, and afterward shall be as though we had never been. Their breath in our nostrils is a puff of smoke, reason a spark from the beating of our hearts. Extinguish this, and the body turns to ashes, and the spirit melts away like the yielding air. In time, our name will be forgotten. Nobody will remember what we have done. Our life will pass away like wisp of cloud, dissolving like the mist that the sun's rays drive away, and that its heat dispels. For our days are like the passing of a shadow. Our end is without return. The seal is affixed, and nobody comes back. Come then, let us enjoy the good things of today. Let us use created things with the zest of youth. Take our fill of the dearest wines and perfumes, and no account forego the flowers of spring. But crown ourselves with rosebuds before they wither. No meadow excluded from our orgy. Let us leave the signs of revelry everywhere. Since there is portion, this is our lot. As for the upright man who is poor, let us oppress him. Let us not spare the widow, nor respect the old age, white-haired with many years. Let our might be the yardstick of right, since weakness argues with its own futility. Let us lay traps for the upright man, since he annoys us and oppresses our way of life, reproaches us for our sins against the law, and accuses us of sins against our upbringing. He claims to have knowledge of God and calls himself a child of the Lord. We see him as a reproof to our way of thinking. The very sight of him weighs our spirits down, for his kind of life is not like other people's, and his ways are quite different. In his opinion, we are counterfeit. He avoids our ways as he would filth. He proclaims the final end of the upright as blessed and boasts of having God for his Father. Let us see if what he says is true, and test him to see what sort of end he will have. For if the upright man is God's son, God will help him and rescue him from the clutches of his enemies. Let us test him with cruelty and with torture, and thus explore the gentleness of his hand, and put his patience to the test. Let us condemn him to shameful death, since God will rescue him, or so he claims. This is the way they reason, but they are misled, since their malice makes them blind. They do not know the hidden things of God. They do not hope for the reward of holiness. They do not believe in a reward for blameless souls. For God created human beings to be immortal. He made them as an image of his own nature. Death came into the world only through the devil's envy, as those who belong to him find their cost. Chapter 3, the Book of Wisdom. But the souls of the upright are in the hands of God, and no torment can touch them. To the unenlightened they appeared to die. Their departure was regarded as disaster. Their leaving us like annihilation, but they are at peace. As it seemed to us, they suffered punishment. Their hope was rich with immortality. Slight was their correction. Great will their blessings be. God was putting them to the test, and has proved them worthy to be with him. He has tested them like gold in a furnace, and accepted them as a perfect burnt offering. At their time of visitation, they will shine out as sparks run through the stubble, so will they. They will judge nations, rule over peoples, and the Lord will be their king forever. Those who trust in him understand the truth. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Fine, you?
Good. Judy said Dr. Miller used to come in the yard. It was pretty nice and good.
Okay.
That's one. So
Yeah.
get some sleep, and then we'll go about 7. I'll get out of here
Mm-hmm.
go home and try to fall asleep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.
Double alarm on.
All right. Yeah, bye. Those who are faithful will live with him in love, for grace and mercy await his holy ones, and he intervenes on behalf of his chosen. But the godless will be duly punished for their reasoning, for having neglected the upright and deserted the Lord. Yes, wretched are they who scorn wisdom and discipline. Their hope is void, for their toil and unavailing, their achievements unprofitable. Their wives are reckless, the children depraved, their descendants accursed. Blessed the sterile woman, for she is blameless and has not known an unlawful bed, for she will have fruit at the visitation of souls. Blessed to the eunuch, whose hand commits no crime, and who harbors no resentment against the Lord. A special favor will be granted to him for his loyalty, a most desirable portion in the temple of the Lord. For the fruit of the honest labors is glorious, and the root of understanding does not decay. But the children of adulterers will not reach maturity. The offspring of an unlawful bed will disappear. Even if they live long, they will count for nothing. Their old age will go unhonored at the last. While if they die early, they have neither hope nor comfort on the day of judgment. For the end of a race of evildoers is harsh. Wisdom chapter 4. Better to have no children yet to have virtue, since immortality perpetuates its memory for God, and humans belong both recognize it. Present, we imitate it. Absent, we long for it. Crowned, it holds triumph through eternity, have striven for unattained prizes, and emerged the victor. But the offspring of the godless come to nothing. However, prolific, sprung from a bastard stock, they will never strike deep roots, never put down firm foundations. They may branch out for a time, but on unsteady foundations, they will be rocked by the wind and uprooted by the forces of the storm. Their branches yet unformed will be snapped off, but their fruit be useless, too unripe to eat, fit for nothing. For children begotten of unlawful bedwitness, when put unto trial their parents' wickedness, that upright, though he die before his time, will find rest. Length of days is not what makes age honorable, nor number of years the true measure of life. Understanding this is gray hairs, untarnished life. This is ripe old age. Having won God's favor, he has been loved, and as he was living among sinners, has been taken away. He had been carried off so that evil may not warp his understanding of our deceitfulness, seduce his soul. For the fascination of evil throws good things into the shade, and the whirlwind of desire corrupts a simple heart. Having come to perfection so soon, he has lived long, his soul being pleasing to the Lord. He has hurried away from the wickedness around him. Yet people look on, uncomprehending, and it does not enter their heads that grace and mercy await his chosen ones, and that he intervenes on behalf of his holy ones. The upright who dies condemns the godless who survive, and youth quickly perfected condemns the lengthy old age of the wicked. These people see the end of the wise without understanding what the Lord has in store, or why he has taken such a one to safety. They look on and sneer, but the Lord will laugh at them. Soon they will be corpses without honor, objects of horror among dead forever. For he will shatter them and fling them from headlong to and dumbfounded. He will shake them from their foundation. They will be utterly laid waste, a prey to grief, and their memory will perish. When the count of their sins has been drawn up, in terror they will come, and their crimes confronting them will accuse them. Wisdom chapter 5. Then the upright will stand up boldly to face those who had oppressed him and had thought so little of his sufferings. And seeing him, they will be seized with terrible fear, amazed that he should have been so unexpectedly saved. Stricken with remorse, they will say to one another with groans and laboring breath, "This is the one whom we used to mock, making him the butt of our insults. Fools that we were. His life we regarded as madness, his ending as without honor. How he has come to be counted as one of the children of God, and to save his lot among the holy ones. Clearly, we have strayed from the way of truth. The light of justice has not shone for us. The sun has not risen for us. We have left no path of lawlessness, our ruin unexplored. We have crossed deserts where there was no track, but the way of the Lord is one we have never known. What good has arrogance been to us? What has been the purpose of our riches and boastfulness? All those things have passed like a shadow, passed like a fleeting rumor, like a ship that cuts through heaving waves, leaving no trace to show where it has passed, no weight from it keel in the waves. or like a bird flying through the air, leaving no proof of its passing. It whips the light air with the stroke of its pinions, tears it apart in its whirring rush toward its way onward with sweeping wing, and afterward no sign is seen of its passage. Or like an arrow shot at a mark, the pierced air closing so quickly on itself. There is no knowing which way the arrow has passed. So with us, the scarcely born, we disappear of virtue. Not a trace have we to show. We have sent ourselves in our own wickedness. For the hope of the godless is like chaff, carried on the wind, like the fine spray driven by the storm. It disperses like smoke before the wind goes away, like the memory of one day guest. But the upright live forever. Their recompense is with the Lord, and the Most High takes care of them. So they will receive the glorious crown and the diadem of beauty from the Lord's hand. He will shelter them with his right hand, and with his arm he will shield them. For armor he will take it, his jealous love. He will arm creation to punish his enemies. He will put on justice as a breastplate, and for helmet wear his forthright judgment. He will take up invincible holiness for shield. Holiness for shield. Of his pitiless wrath he will forge a sword, and the universe will march with him to fight the reckless. Both surely aimed, the shaftings of lightning will leap, and from the clouds as from a full-drawn bow fly to their mark. And the culprit will hurl hailstones charged with fury. The waters of the sea will rage against them. The rivers engulf them without pity. A mighty gale will rise against them and winnow them like a hurricane. Thus wickedness will lay the earth waste, and evil doing bring down the thrones of the mighty. Wisdom chapter 6. Listen then, kings, and understand, rulers of remotest lands. Take warning. Hear this, you who govern great populations, taking pride in your host of subject nations. For sovereignty is given to you by the Lord, and power by the Most High, who will himself probe your acts and scrutinize your intentions. If therefore, as servants of his kingdom, you have not ruled justly, nor observed the law, nor follow the will of God, he will fall on you swiftly and terribly. On the highly placed, a ruthless judgment falls. Lowly are pardoned out of pity, but the mighty will be mightily tormented. For the Lord of all does not cower before anyone. He does not stand in awe of greatness, since he himself has made small and great and provides for all alike. But a searching trial awaits those who wield power. So monarchs, my words are meant for you, so that you may learn wisdom and not fall into error. For those who earn holiness, observe holy things, will be adjudged holy, and accepting instructions from them will find their defense in them. Set your heart, therefore, on what I have to say. Listen with a will, and you will be instructed. Wisdom is brilliant, she never fades. By those who love her, she is readily seen. By those who seek her, she is readily found. She anticipates those who desire her by making herself known first. Whoever gets up early to seek her will have no trouble, but will find her sitting at the door. Meditating on her is understanding in its perfect form, and anyone keeping awake of her will soon be free from care. For she herself searches everywhere for those who are worthy of her, benevolently, appearing to them on their ways, anticipating their every thought. For wisdom begins with the sincere desire for instruction. Care for instruction means loving her. Loving her means keeping her laws, attention to her laws guarantees incorruptibility. For incorruptibility brings us near to God. The desire for wisdom, thus leads to sovereignty. If then thrones and scepters delight you, monarchs of the nations honor wisdom, so that you may reign forever. What wisdom is and how she was born, I shall now explain. I shall hide no mysteries from you, but shall follow her steps from the outset of her origin, setting out what we know of her in full light, without departing from the truth. Blighting envy is no companion for me, for envy has nothing in common with wisdom, and the greatest number of the wise lies in the world's salvation, and a Sagittarius king, the stability of a people. Learn, therefore, for my words, the gain will be yours. Wisdom, chapter 7. I too am mortal like everyone else, a descendant of the first man and formed from the earth. I was modeled in flesh inside a mother's womb, where for 10 months in blood I required substance, the result of virile seed and pleasure sleep's companion. I too, when I was born, drew in the common air. I fell on the same ground that bears us all, and crying was the first sound I made like everyone else. I was neutered in swaddling clothes with every care. No king has known any other beginning of existence, for there is only one way into life and one way out of it. And so I prayed, and understanding was given me. I entreated with the spirit of wisdom came to me. I esteem her more than scepters and thrones. Compared with her, I held riches as nothing. I reckon no precious stone to be her equal, for compared with her all gold is a pinch of sand, and besides her silver ranks as mud. I loved her more than health or beauty, preferred her to the light, since her radiance never sleeps. In her company all good things came to me, and at her hand incalculable health or wealth. All these delighted me, since wisdom brings them, though I did not realize that she was their mother. What I learn diligently I shall pass on liberally. I shall not conceal how rich she is, for she is to human beings an inexhaustible treasure, and those who acquire this win God's friendship, commended to him by the gifts of instruction. May God grant me to speak as he would wish, and conceive thoughts worthy of gifts I have received, since he is both guide to wisdom and director of sages. For we are in his hand, yes, ourselves and our sayings, and all intellectual and all practical knowledge. He it was who has given me sure knowledge of what exists, to understand the structure of the world and the action of the elements, the beginning, end, and middle of the times, the alternation of the solstice, and the succession of the seasons, the cycle of the year and the position of the stars, the nature of animals, and the instincts of wild beasts, the powers of spirits and human mental processes, the varieties of plants and the medical properties of roots. And now I understand everything, hidden or visible, for wisdom, the designer of all things, has instructed me. For within her spirit, intelligent, holy, unique, manifold, subtle, mobile, incisive, unsullied, lucid, invulnerable, but benevolent, shrewd, irresistible, beneficent, friendly to human beings, steadfast, dependable, unperturbed, almighty, all-surveying, penetrating, all-intelligent, pure, and most subtle spirits. For wisdom is quicker to move than any motion. She is so pure. She pervades and permeates all things. She is a breath of the power of God, pure emanation of the glory of the Almighty, so nothing impure can find its way into her. For she is a reflection of the eternal light and untarnished mirror of God, active power and image of goodness. Although she can do nothing, herself unchanging. She renews the world, and generation after generation, passing into holy souls, she makes them into God's friends and properties. For God loves only those who dwell with wisdom. She is indeed more splendid than the sun. She outshines all the constellations. Compared with light, she takes first place. For light must yield to light, but against wisdom, evil cannot prevail. So wisdom, I just want to finish up chapter 7. So maybe some other time I could read chapter 8 through chapter 19. Looks like there's 19 chapters of the book of wisdom. I read 1 through 7. And I can see why a lot of it was left out. It is convoluted. There is some good things in there. But overall the message is it's zigzagging. It's too much. It's not really true wisdom. It was left out for a reason. Reading it, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. If that even makes sense. I think it's more of looks like it's, I don't know. I think it was a good thing to take it out of the Bible, and not the 66 books of the Bible, not to add it in to the Bible, because it doesn't really. It just doesn't. It's not consistent. So I think that's why they took a lot of these books out of the Bible. Now maybe sometime I can read the book of Enoch, and until then, we'll see. But I just don't think that the book of wisdom really makes any sense. I mean, there's some good things and some not so good things about it, but that's just the way it is. Hey, thank you very much. And I'll talk to you later.